Greetings and aloha. Welcome to GRTV. Looking into the operations of business in this current day and age and how things work. How things work concerning people's motivations, be it biological or be it religious or societal. Gonna really delve into this. I want to start with two interesting things. So one of them being that I think that if people aren't careful, they just get caught up in the simple cycle of trying to procreate. And while that may be inherently a positive thing, there are instances, like if there's enough population, where it's better to work on improving the world and even improving ourselves so that we're able to live longer lives and make our future lives better. Make our future incarnations better. Change the world. So that's the biological aspect. Then there's this aspect. If you're watching this, you may also watch some related speakers, like just Gary Vee, who discusses the whole concept of how social media will be, the world's primary newspaper, TV, radio advertising, even billboard advertising. Like, this is where we're going. In fact, coincidentally, right, this guy, it looks to be, he was the primary creator of the www, the internet, the World Wide Web. So he says you can change the protocol or you can change the world. So what he's saying there is that you can either try to improve the rules of a particular game, or you can add another game that may so happen to be more useful, more helpful. We see what looks to be, this abstract art. It looks like a file, though. It has a cool effect. I'm here at the School of Business here at the University of Hawaii. And I just want to explain some things to you guys. So, a combination of opinions and facts. So, you look at the world, look at what's going on, and we see conflict, we see resolution. We see people. This is complications with trade, and the economy of goods and services has been disrupted in terms of focusing more on essentials, necessities, things like medical, police, fire, ambulance, construction, food operations. And then you see secondary things, which unfortunately places like Hawaii are especially affected by less tourism and less, like restaurants and hotels, basically, the vacations, right? Airplanes. These are, and not to mention consumerism. We have some high-end luxury goods sold in Hawaii at the shopping centers here. So all of those things are put into question when there's an emergency. Now, the social restrictions, I think, are beneficial in the way that they allow for introspection. They allow for people to really look at their lives and say, is this my life? Am I making it mine? Is it what I want? A lot of videos, Jordan Peterson, Gary Vee, these types of people offer encouragement. Going around this campus, one of the things that I have noticed is there seems to be a lot of Let's see what we got here. There seems to be, like, you can look just here. There's a strong interest from women in learning and in being, shall we say, successful, however you want to describe it. You know, and I applaud that. You know, I think it's great for accounting. You know, that's an essential. That's what Warren Buffett. He's always like, you know, accounting. You know, learn accounting. That's something everyone should learn. And that has to do with not only money but also managing one's time. You know, if you can create a schedule, and what wealthy people apparently do is they don't have a to-do list. They instead have a schedule. Somebody stenciled there. You can see they were spraying something. They have a schedule, and the schedule has to do, and I'll get back to the woman issue in a moment. The scheduling has to do with making a little sunset in the background there, lovely. Scheduling has to do with what you want to prioritize your time with, and there's this concept that time is money. You know, by the way, this, like, one of my business, I believe, is revolutionary. You can create a business or you can create a revolution. This guy apparently created microcredit. I think that has to do with giving people smaller loans, smaller scale stuff for less financially stable countries. But the point, like me, I have this idea of where gender separate, like all the men on one side of the dance floor, all the women, and so there's less sexual tension because people, and then even in restaurants, like all the men gather and kind of get to talking and like a bar, and on the surface people might say, oh well, that seems more oriented towards homosexual, but actually no, the whole point is it's oriented towards people who want to socialize but don't want the element of sexual tension and that they're feeling like they have to be attractive, but they can rather enjoy. And obviously there is the element of, well, there are some people who are bisexual, homosexual, and we need to be conscious that they are there and respectful of one another, respectful, not just, you know, try to seduce their fellow man or fellow woman. That's a side note. But the point is, time is money. Like, for example, if you make $1,000 in a month and you spend that $1,000 on an amenity, a luxury good, a non-essential, instead of spending the $1,000 on food and shelter, well, what happens is you lose that month of time. Let's say, right? You could have spent the $1,000 either. Let's say you have like $5,000, but you spend the $1,000 on the luxury item, and then instead of spending the $1,000 on your monthly basic needs expenses, what happens is you lose that month of time that you could have used to create your dreams. And this really has to do with the idea that you can't be free to love, and you can't be free to be authentic and truthful unless you have control over your basic chakras. You're starting with your needs. So that's why it's important for people to make their own money and not label people their parents, label people their equals. When you label somebody an authority or parent, you expect them to be responsible for their finances, and then later parents expect their kids to look out for them. Like, it's a convoluted situation, and a lot of people, it might work for them, but for me it represents a cycle that is implied that people won't live forever. I believe people can live forever if we enjoy our lives so much, and also obviously health. Take special health initiatives and whatnot. But the point is that, you know, the money and time, you know, you really need to know what your money, your time is, what it values, and make it valuable to you. And the way you do that is by having dreams and having goals. And then another person won't take your time or money. You know? Like, you say no. You learn to say no. No, I'm busy. I'm working on my stuff, like I said. And if you may not even have like a big business goals like I have, but you may have specific goals where, let's say, you want to be a doctor. And that requires pretty standard education, you know, at a university and whatnot. And, you know, some people might say that, oh, you should do other things, these people and things, and then you may have, let's say, during school you buy a fancy car or something, whatever. That all takes time and money to maintain. Or even, especially, the worst thing is people get into these premarital intimacy where it's not all planned out, it's not all carefully designed, it's not the science of love, and it's just these lusts that actually interfere with every single day. You know, you're using up your time to give to somebody else. It's time that takes away from your studying time that takes away from the time that you need to build your career, and in turn connect with your dream mate. And that brings me around to the idea of more women attending college. I see it as, you know, a good thing. I think it would be useful for there to be a balance in leadership, be it and not I don't think there should be legal obligations for businesses to hire diversely, but I think at least in politics there should be a diverse collection, like of all the different races, until such time that we eventually we I'm trying to find the right word, we fuse all of the ethnicities, and there becomes a more universal looking person, because people are having interracial marriages, which is great. You know, it would make the world easier. It's called homogenization. That's why in certain countries everything goes well. You know, it's because everyone has a familiar understanding with each other and culture. But the variety of culture is great, but it's only useful if people are universal and global citizens, and they are interested in a variety of cultures, not where all these different cultures and groups are separate. Like, for example, black culture, quote unquote, it shouldn't be described as a black culture. It should be described as, for example, a rap culture, or a hype culture, or a swag culture. And that way it can be adopted by different races. And the same with white people. And I'm obviously I'm using stereotypes for the conversational purposes here. It's not, you know, but you know, most people are fairly normal, especially in current day and age, first world countries with education systems and whatnot. We all kind of homogenize and everything, even though I think these should be gender separate. You know, the essence of, I'm going to conclude here. I just want to say that that people have choices to make, and they can't. voluntarily and authentically make those choices until they start making their own money and learning what that money is the hard way, and they start realizing the value of their time as it's in relationship to how much time they need to pursue their goals, pursue their dreams in both personal and professional lives, and making sure that people and things don't interfere with that. Like, for example, me, it's possible that even me and my, simple lifestyle, maybe certain things I could eliminate. Like, for example, if I eliminated a storage unit, then I wouldn't have to spend as much time and money thinking of new clothing to buy, or even spending money on the storage unit itself. And you don't need anything. Right now, you don't need anything except for a smartphone and laptop, which you can get, You don't need anything to do whatever you want. All you need is these basic elements, and you can create concepts, and you can, find people who have other tools, resources, and money, and solicit this from different investors, or just get involved in some. If somebody else is already doing what you're doing, then get involved in it. You don't need to recreate the wheel. If somebody else is already making wheels, then join them. This applies to both personal and professional situations. But it's cool to see these two banners here. They're quite interrelated to my topic of the day here, and I want to say mahalo for joining me on this wonderful afternoon. I hope that it's able to bring some ideas to you and a temporary break in your routine. Remember to check out Jordan Peterson, Gary Vee. I'll leave some links in the description, some of their top videos relevant to today's social media and today's just general operations as we are, trying to find the quickest solutions to world peace. So, aloha.